All right, big man, this is an honor and a privilege. We've finally been able to marry up diaries, and I appreciate this a lot, man.
That's all right. Not a problem.
I've also just realised as you were jumping in the call how bushy my beard looks on camera. It's
There's a hint of ginger.
it is a bit of hint of ginger in it.
Yeah,
It
that's
gets a
what that's
bit
what you get. That's what you get for coming back home.
gets a bit multicolored. You know what I mean? I'm like Joseph and his dream coat or whatever, or whatever it is. I'm not a musical guy, but anyway, unless it's Shrek.
Yeah, yeah, could go with that.
I think we're gonna have to start off, mate. I'm pretty sure you're tired of telling the story, but people need to hear your story.
Um, so 16 years of age, first job after school. Was only there for 9 months. Um, uh, I can joke about it now and say it's probably down to I was fed up of paying tax and national insurance, but I went to open an external door that was half a ton, and that came off of its running rail down onto me and ended up hitting my shoulders. My head stayed still, shoulders didn't, went through, and I didn't break my neck. I've compressed it at C5-6. So I can feel my feet, which is really annoying because the wife likes to tickle my feet. Um, my toes wiggle when she does it, and I'm just lying there going, I can't do anything about this. Um, yeah, so that's the main crux of my accident. Um, I spent a year in Salisbury Spinal Unit, which was a very interesting experience to have at the age of 16,
Yeah.
lying there thinking, well, am I going to walk again? Because you just don't know. Um, you have a thing called spinal shock, which settles down after 2 years, after which it's kind of what you've got is what you've got, unless there's some miraculous thing of medical science. Um, Obviously, this was all in 98 to 99. Um, Back then, life expectancy was about 60. Um, since then, they've upgraded me to 70. It's
Wow.
like that's kind of them. Yeah, we spent 3 months in bed for my first part of the stint, and then after that, they get you up gradually, so your skin gets used to being sat down all day. Because I used to ride a bike to work, I never used to get the skin issues because my ass was like a rhino skin, apparently, as they
Hey,
call it.
now.
Um, but yeah, that was that. It all became you go through the rehab, you learn how to supposedly survive, but it doesn't teach you to survive in the real world at all. But they can't. It's not something that they can physically do themselves. You kind of get on. They kind of leave you to get on with it, and that's that. Um, Probably about 3 years after my accident, I did try to top myself, um, but couldn't line up the little triangles on the paracetamol bottle. So ended up just dropping that on the floor and shouting because that's you, with someone with no finger function. It's when you drop something, it's really frustrating.
Mm.
Um, After that, I joined a local gym, small gym that was run by an ex-marine who didn't. He treated me as a normal person. When I first joined, I struggled to lift a 1 kilogram dumbbell. Um, he got me to the point where I could physically lift weights, and mentally he was a lot better than I was. He, yeah, and then it's from that I joined a bigger gym, and had various PTs over the years, and it got to probably 7 years ago. I got to the point where it was like I need something to bit more to push me. And obviously, the guy that trains me at the moment was doing CrossFit, so I switched over to that. Um, ideally I was going to do it at a local CrossFit box, but his first words were, "You can't do it." And he said if you were going to do it, you'd have to pay for a PT every time you're here to do it. And I was like, okay. Um, After that, I went to CrossFit Pi, where I met Martin, and his words were, "Why can't you do it?" And from that, it grew, and I was doing CrossFit at CrossFit Pi, as well as training normally. Um, and it's culminated into what I do now over years of trial and error, and literally just pushing myself more and more to try and just keep bettering what I can do. I have noticed in the 7 years that I'm a lot stronger. I am a lot more stamina wise. I'm a lot a lot better, and there's more there, hopefully, that I can give. If I can't, I've probably reached my limit of what I can give, and it's just a case of maintaining it. So that's pretty much me.
How would you say that your quality of life has improved?
Um, Physically, my lower spine has straightened from doing CrossFit purely because it's more the overhead movements forcing the weight and the muscles to contract lower down, which even though I can't fully feel, it's obviously doing something because you can see it on the X-rays.
Mm.
Mentally, it's given me a lot more clarity. Um, I guess because you're having to focus on what you're doing more than what you would do in a gym, it's giving you that extra emphasis to try and think of what you're doing, and it equates over to what you're doing in everyday life. Um, I have days where yes, I'm up and down, but who doesn't? But I know when I'm training, it sets me up for the day of on a high level that will dip during the day, as with anybody else who does any fitness. It's the good old endorphins that make you happy. But
100%, man.
not everybody's going to be happy when they have to see Fran or do the yearly Murph workout, but it's it's what you it's those benchmarks that push yourself, isn't it?
Mm.
The workouts are there written that you can then do at any time of the year and push yourself a bit more, see
Mm.
if you can get better. So that's that's what it's about, surely.
I love that, man. Like, and obviously I knew that answer, right? But like, there is a lot of people that end up shoving adaptive athletes in the too hard basket, right? Because it's just like, oh, I don't really know. I was like, well, first of all, you have a mouth, ask them. All right.
Yeah,
The human beings. Hey guys, I don't really know. Yeah, well, I don't know a lot of things, man. A lot of things I don't know the
yeah.
word, how to spell, whatever. I've been hitting the head too many times, Nige. You know what I mean? I'm blonde
Mm,
with a ginger beard. It's not a good combination. And so just ask them. You know what I mean? Hey brother, like I
yeah,
actually don't know, like, but I'm more than willing to try. You know,
yeah,
just try, man. It's a three-letter word. Why don't we do it? Like, just
yeah,
figure this
yeah.
out.
I mean, if a lot more boxers just ask the person what it is they can and can't do,
You would soon learn.
what their limitations are, because everybody's going to have them.
Yes.
I mean, there's a guy in Thurrock who's got the alternative
Craig.
movement,
Craig.
and what he's doing, you're looking at it thinking, great. It's great that someone is giving everybody of all abilities the option to try and do it.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend. I want to give him a quick shout out. Alt movement,
Yeah,
just outside of London, in it. Craig
yeah,
Graham, what a
yeah,
guy! Like just turned up and we're like, let's do it then. All right, let's figure this out. I don't know,
yeah,
so I'm gonna go learn, and we're gonna figure
yeah,
this out on the dance floor. And guess what, guys? Like it's the same as you would do in a gym. If someone came in and I was playing tennis at the weekend, I was doing BMX and I busted up my wrist. I can't
yeah,
snatch today. Have you got any alternatives? Have you got any scaling options? I was like, guess what, guys? That's exactly the bloody same.
yeah, yeah. I mean, same with snatch. I mean, snatch for me is from my lap rather than from the floor.
Great.
Still the same movement.
But what would you do if someone had? a bunged low back, right? Fully able-bodied athlete comes in, just low back's a little bit buggered.
It's
Usually, the scalable
yeah,
option would be go from the hang.
yeah,
So it's exactly the same.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy,
It is nuts,
but
and I say, I think everybody needs to have experience of coaching in all different demographics, right? And as you would
yeah,
do with teaching, right? They throw you in a lower decile scale, i.e.,
mm,
they usually put you in the middle of Manchester, and then you have to see little old Alex over here at 12, just like throwing things out the window. And then you're like, well, do you still want to be a teacher? You know, and if the answer is yes,
yeah,
okay, then you kind of get pushed around the system. I think they
mm,
should have the same in the fitness industry, right? You got to coach people who would be adaptive athletes. You got to coach kids. You got to coach the elderly, like all these
yeah,
different. You're like, oh, do you still want to work in the fitness industry? Yeah, okay, mega. Now you can niche. Now you can have like
yeah.
you can kind of hone in, right? But if someone walks through that door and you can't help them, do not wear that coach thing on your back. That's no.
No, no. I mean, I have seen it from other boxers. They kind of have write a workout up and then they don't know what to do. And you think, well, how did you get your level one in the first place? And then
Yeah,
it's like you kind of then think, have you got any other qualifications apart from your level one? And all you're doing is writing a workout that CrossFit's written like 12 years ago or whatever. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to see. 'Cause I see it on Instagram of other boxers and their coaches, and you think, why are you doing that? Um,
yeah.
I get that every box is done differently. A lot of people's versions of workout are done. There is alterations and there's different movements because obviously everybody has something wrong with them
Of course.
on given days. Wake up in the morning, your back hurts, you slept funny. There you go. It's just having the tweaks that are there that coaches need to have it in their arsenal. But
Uh, yeah, that's
a lot of them
so.
don't.
Sorry to jump in, brother. Like I get fired up on this coaching thing, man. Like I get so fired up I could run through a brick wall. But anyway, that's again I'm blonde. Um, yeah, I think that's where it's the responsibility of the senior coaches and slash or the gym owner, right? Of giving a little bit more independence and be like, okay, cool. Like I might have programmed or we might have outsourced the programming. We've pulled it in, right? And you're like, now go do your lesson plan. It's like, what do you mean? I was
Yeah,
like, no, it's not just a dictatorial. This is what you have to do. And these are the scaling options. Don't ask me why. Fuck you. I'm the boss. Like, no,
mm,
that's not how you're going to help people, right? Because these people are going to come in and ask you, hey, Nige, why am I doing this? And if your answer is because I told you so, I'm going to leave.
yeah,
And now you've lost money. You know, like
yeah.
you've got to give a little bit more independence to these coaches. And I don't
I
know,
mean,
like,
it'd be. I mean, if they had it in the level one program, actual course, of having the adaptive athlete part, it would help a lot more than what's being taught at the moment.
yeah,
And I know it's not as easy to get adaptive athletes at each box on the training days because it's not. I get that, but if they reached out and actually asked people, they'd probably go, "Yeah, okay, I'll come and help you for the day."
yeah. My
It's not.
question would be how many more people would work out if they had accessibility in terms of the disability community, right? Like,
Yeah,
what is the percentage of that community would start to work out if it was purely like all accessibility everywhere you could
yeah,
go? I
yeah.
think it
You'd
would
probably get
be,
a lot more.
yeah, I think it would be insane.
I mean, I know people from the unit that they've resorted back to can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, and they don't do anything. I mean, I've been out, I've
It's
been
not
drunk,
good, man.
I've gotten drunk, I've fallen out of a chair. It happens, but it's gotten to the point now where I don't feel unstable in my chair because of doing the exercises.
Mm.
There is times when after certain workouts, my body is like, "No, you've pushed it,"
Mhm.
and now I'm just going to shut down and not give you any stability of any kind.
That happens with
But
everybody, right?
Yeah. I mean, if after a workout you're not sat on the floor going, "Oh my God, I'm dying," you've not trained hard enough,
Mhm.
or you've trained hard enough to the extent that you're comfortable for the day. But if you're coming away from it not sweating or not panting, then you've um, obviously just gone in there to look in the mirror and do your makeup. But
Sounds like a good time.
yeah, so but, I mean, you do see it in the CrossFit boxes, and the guys that are in there going, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," and then you got the ones in the corner that are actually progressing better and not shouting about it.
Mm.
It's those that you need to look at because they're the ones that are making the gains in their with their own body and their own mind.
Mm.
So always look out for the quiet ones, as they say,
Always look out for the quiet ones, man.
and never trust a man in a wheelchair with dirty shoes.
Christ almighty. So if I was gonna ask you the question or give you a microphone, right, which technically we have done, but
Yeah.
and you were like, okay, Nige, we're talking about accessibility. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about bringing everybody to that line. In your opinion, how do we do that? Where do we start? What's the biggest challenges that we need to do? What's your 2 cents on it, man?
For CrossFit, the biggest one is probably if you can get it in the programming to at least touch on adaptive fitness, and then even if they have a separate course for it. I mean, they do one for kids, they do one for gymnastics. Why don't they do a separate course for adaptive? Um, I'm sure it's not hard to get a list of disabled athletes in countries that do it that would be open to helping boxes progress if they have someone come in or they know they've got someone that's there that they want the help with. It's it just starts from as with everything from the grassroots. If it
Yes.
starts from what CrossFit actually offers, then why can't they put it in to give the coaches the information to do it?
Mm.
I mean, the other places to start is the kids at uni doing strength and conditioning and personal training and this, that, and the other. Why is it not taught there? I mean, a lot of boxes are obviously people that train at work as a CrossFit level CrossFit coach. They've got their degrees from university, but they've probably not had anything in their coursework about disabled athletes.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of at the start with my PT, it was winging it, finding out what works, what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you enough. It gives you enough from that to go, all right, that didn't work. What can we do to make it work? So you try a different way to make it work. If that didn't work, maybe it's not going to work at all. But there's always ways and means of doing certain exercises. I mean, for me, like deadlift. Deadlift for me is a high pull, so still the same movement. It's just in a different plane of the body. So obviously, for you, deadlift is ground up to your waist. For me, it's waist up to my shoulders. It's not going to be massively high from my point of view. I mean, a lot of paraplegics and stuff like that, obviously they can transfer onto a bench and they can do a deadlift on a bench. But obviously for me, for what I for the stability I've got on a bench isn't there. So for me, the alternative is a high pull, which for me, I'm getting 18, 19K. It's an area that I'm gonna hopefully strengthen over the time. But it's just one you got to chip away at it and work at it. Um, then it's if certain weights aren't lifting, it's purely because of my body's limitations of what muscles are firing.
Mm.
So a lot of tetraplegics they don't have triceps. I've got one head working of my triceps, and it gives me enough to throw a barbell above my head with some weight on it. But the more weight I put on it, the harder it becomes for me to get it up. As with everybody, it takes time. But I've been trying for years to get a stronger weight, and it's just not happening. And I think that's purely because of my body's muscular limitations from my injury, rather than the fact of I'm in my own head and going, I can't do this. So it's again comes back to what you learn about the body, about people's disabilities, and what have you, everything else. I mean, obviously lower limb people, they got their false leg, and they're the rest of their body's fine. So they're still hitting high numbers of weights and stuff. There's always progression. Their weakness is always going to be their missing limb, but they adapt to what they're doing to be able to still do a normal workout. Same as me. I adapt what I do to having the same stimulus, but it's going to be you get to the point where your body goes, you've pushed me to my limit of what I can give you because of my injury. I mean, I notice it with my cleans. Cleans, I can hit 24, 26K. But you put in clean and jerk, my 1 rep max is then reduced by 10 kilos because I can't get the initial push above my head. And that's purely because I haven't got the triceps there to push it. And if you're wanting a set of clean and jerk of 5 or more, then the weight comes down again because then I'm not getting the overhead lock. So again, it's just a case of what your body can give compared to what an able person's body can give for them.
I think you made a really good point there of basically preserving the intended stimulus, and that is
Yeah.
scaling, that is adapting. You know, that's number one. Well, number one is keep them safe, right? Keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
Whether you're abled or you know disabled, it doesn't matter. Like, let's just try
Yeah.
and keep you safe, right? So you're
Yeah.
not just going to throw a kettlebell above your head, smack yourself, and then end
Yeah.
up in A&E. That's probably not the greatest of ideas. I don't want to do that
No.
paperwork, right?
No.
But then
I
number
mean, for
two,
me,
preserve the intended stimulus, right?
yeah. I mean, for me, I'd rather the way I've over the years noticed it for my workout is I know what my 1 rep max is. Rather than putting it as I'm doing a clean at 16 kilos for every minute on the minute for 5 rounds, I do it as percentages.
Mm-hmm.
So within that 5 minutes, I'd do one at 60%, one at 65, one at 70, and do it that way. So you're increasing the weight a little bit, and your body's going, okay, I can do this, I can do this. And then you're just pushing it just that little bit more. If you're getting half a kilo increment on a movement, it's a win.
100%.
If you don't hit it in that workout of what you normally get for your 1 rep max, so what? You shouldn't be training at your 1 rep max anyway, because your body can't do that all the time. You need to you up the intensity and then you scale it back. Then you build it from there and up it again. So
Question.
it's how I've trained for the last 3-4 years, and it's worked. So,
Question for you, brother.
mm-hmm.
Where do you want to see the adaptive side go?
Within CrossFit, it'd be nice to see everybody that gets the chance to go to the games, because at the moment they don't. It's 4 categories and that's it. That's the big one, is to give everybody a chance to do something at the game. If it's not filmed as much as the rest of the games, so what? You've got people there that are committed to doing this and want to go there and show that they can, on a global stage, that they can do it.
Yeah.
And prove to people that anybody with a disability can do CrossFit.
Well, it's not only
Um,
that as well, right? Like,
no,
I think it's
they're
highlighting the
the main.
barriers that you
I
can
mean,
break.
that's the big highlight that will give the emphasis on the coaches.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, having the coaches that teach people with disabilities, you need them to know what they're doing to teach them. I mean, someone who's not in a wheelchair, obviously missing limbs, they're easier to coach than someone in a wheelchair, someone neuromuscular, someone with cerebral palsy. It's the more trickier disabilities become a bit more of a minefield of what can and can't be done. But in this day and age, there's enough information out there to be used as a starting block,
mm.
and just ask the people, ask an athlete, ask someone. I mean, the only two people that I've known in their training is me and Jamie, who's blind. And he's got no fear in doing box jumps. And when you're seeing a blind guy doing box jumps, you're just like, okay, that's impressive.
Yeah.
He literally just feels for it and then just does the box jump. And you just sat there thinking at some point he's going to smack his shins. And he doesn't. I mean, watching him do wall balls, he sticks a bell on the wall ball and away he goes. But you're like, you just can't fathom how he's doing it when you're not blind.
Mm.
So the way to do that is ask. And probably the best way to do it to get a sense of an idea, I mean, just as an example for a blind person, is put a blindfold on. Still got everything else that he has. You just can't see. Admittedly, you're going to guarantee that your shins aren't going to survive on a box jump, but it's years of practice for him. For you, it's there you go. There's a blindfold. I mean,
Um,
I took a spare chair up the pie, and I got Martin doing adaptive burpees, and he only did four, and he hated them. I was like, welcome to my world.
yeah. Yeah.
Admittedly, your core's still working, and you've got the power still in your hand, but it it doesn't give you a full experience, but it's a start. Get them. I mean, one of the things they used to do in the spinal unit was any new nurses, they'd team them up and they'd get them to go around the hospital and they'd swap between being in the chair. So one would spend half a day pushing the other one around, and then they'd swap. And they were told they can't get out of that chair anywhere in public.
Mm.
And it kind of gave them a sense of what was going on. It's the nearest you can get, but at least they did it.
Wow.
So off you go, put a blindfold on, do some box jump.
You know what? I'd give it a go, mainly because I'm a nutter and I would definitely stack it, you know.
Yeah,
But something I recently came across is like a 5 day darkness retreat, right? Where you basically
mm-hmm.
live in a room for 5 days. It's
Yeah, I've
pitch
seen them.
black. And like that, I think would really mess with my head. But
Yeah,
also you would come out. 5 days is a bit excessive, let's be honest. You know, but you do a day, a couple of hours, whatever, just so you can really appreciate, oh, this is what life is like for some people,
mm,
you know? And like you said, get in
yeah.
a wheelchair, like this is what life is like for some people. And you're like, yeah, dude, like maybe then we can be a little bit more appreciative
Mm.
of other people. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
let's learn from each other.
there was a guy in the States. He did 48 hours in a soundproof room. And apparently, he went to a dark place.
Yeah, you'd hear things, man. You'd start
Yeah,
start hearing some wacky stuff.
yeah. And you're like, okay. But then you kind of, from my point of view, is like someone who's deaf and they can't hear anything.
Mm.
Everyone's got that inner monologue, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens then? Does that intensify?
I don't know, dude. I don't think I really want to figure that one out.
No.
You know,
So
I'm nuts. I don't want to just talk to that inner monologue for 48 hours.
no, no, we've all been there. It's
No,
bad
no.
enough. It's what was it they say is talking to yourself isn't crazy. It's when you get an answer.
It's when you start talking back. Yeah.
Mm.
That's when
Once you
you're
get an
like,
answer,
oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've allowed. I mean, COVID did a number on my mental health
Hmm.
and my anxiety,
Hmm.
big style. Um, I was offered 6 weeks by the NHS, which wasn't enough. And I knew that, so I found a counsellor, and I've been seeing her for now 20 months.
Amazing.
And I've gone from seeing her once a week, and I'm now seeing her just once a month
Wow.
because it's progressed. Admittedly, taking some anxiety meds has helped a lot, but because I've got the meds taking the edge off of my anxiety, it means I can deal with what all the other stuff that's going on.
Hmm.
Because I've got unresolved stuff from my accident, but that's always going to be there. There's nothing. I've got questions I want answered, and then I'm never going to get an answer for it
Yeah.
because it's just it is what it is. Which is my has been my saying for years. It is what it is. I can't change the fact that the accident happened. You just move on and try and make your life as best as you can.
Yeah. True.
Um, and it's the same. It's just the way that fitness helps with people's mental health. You might not all be. I mean, Martin, CrossFit Pie, Martin's dog Muzzy. He knows he knows when people are having a bad day because he'll go and lie next to them when they're working out. And I've been up there training, and when I'm training, he lies next to me or literally near you for the whole session, and you're kind of like, okay, and it's kind of like he's there to protect you,
Hmm.
but it's just things like that. You're just like, it's it's the little things that make you want to do it. Um, Everybody loves a dog in a CrossFit box, don't they? So, but when I mean Muzzy just runs around like he owns the place, and yeah, I mean, years ago I got a hoodie that just literally had security written on the back of it. And Martin put it on his dog, and there he is sitting at the door waiting, looking at people coming in,
Love it.
and it's just comical. So, but it's it's not all about what a coach can give someone; it's what the box can give someone as well. You get those two combinations right, you're onto a winner.
Changing lives, brother. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Changing lives,
So
literally. You know,
yeah, yeah.
we got 6 minutes. I got three questions.
Mm-hmm.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Try, fail, try again.
Mm. What's the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Don't eat yellow snow.
Oh, it's a bit tangy.
Worst piece of advice. Don't listen to what other people say you can do because only you know. Probably the one of the main ones. I was always told, no, you can't do that. So I'd go off and try and figure out a way I can.
Mm.
There has been things I can't do, but again, that's body limitation. Um, Go from there and see what happens.
Mm.
So,
Last question. What are the three words you would tell your younger self?
it's the three that I go by, which is adapt, overcome, survive.
Mm. It's powerful, man.
Because it's coming up to 25 years next year. And I'll be celebrating my silver crippling. Yeah, I know. I'm not PC. I haven't been.
Because you're
Um,
English, mate.
yeah, that too. Um, but yeah, it's just it's what I've done.
Mm.
I've adapted, I've survived, and succeeded in areas and other things. So
That's
it's
major, mate. Absolutely
what
mega.
life is, isn't it? Everybody's life's different, but at some point you do those three things. So
Brother, thank you so much,
see
man.
what, that's all right, no problem.
Appreciate your time. We need to do a CrossFit comp sometime.
Yeah,
I'll save all the
bring it
burpees for
on.
you, and I don't know.
No, Carl can do that. Carl can do them.
Oh, Carl can do burpees. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
There's a three-man team for Pi next year.
What month?
I don't know yet.
All right, count me in.
So, but yeah,
I'll find
no
a way
worries.
there.
Get him.
You know where they said put a Michelin in a bottle. I'll be somewhere.
Not a problem.
I'll get there with it. I appreciate it so much, man, and you have a good
That's all
day.
right. No worries.
All right, speak to you soon, man.
Catch you later, mate.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.